Yeah, good day, viewers. I'm so excited today on the mysteries I'm going to be unveiling to you today. You know, we've been on a series of, or I said at our last video that we're going to be on a series of safeguarding your real estate investment. But before we continue on that, there's been a publication about, I don't know if I call it a publication or propaganda or news, why some not really knowing the content of the publication are now carrying rumors about it. And what is this information? There's been a recent information about warning investors not to invest in untitled properties, especially in the Ekpe corridor. The publication typically said don't invest in untitled properties in Ekpe. And it also said that estates should stop selling until there is like a stakeholder meeting with the government. Why some that are carrying the propaganda even went as far as saying that the Lagos state government will soon, or some are even not waiting for the publication, some are even saying that the Lagos state government is warning investors not to invest in Ekpe. I would say categorically that is wrong. The Lagos state government cannot say don't invest in untitled properties in Ekpe, except there is a caucus involved in it. But what I'm saying is that they cannot come out publicly and say that. Now, before I continue, I'm going to be making a disclosure. And what is this disclosure? Remember I said I'm a real estate attorney and I'm the CEO MD of Multi-Care Homes and Investment Limited. We're a developing company, or we're a developer based in Lagos State, Nigeria. We're a new company, and yes, we have an estate, we have a project we are developing in Ekpe. So that's the reason why I'm making this disclosure. So it will not look like, oh, okay, because we have an estate in Ekpe, that is why we are saying this. No. From the things I'm going to be saying, I will want you to really listen to them, listen to it, and consider it. Be reasonable. Let's be reasonable in this. Don't just pick up any information and give it your own interpretation. Now, I know the reason for that publication. I know the reason why that information has been flying about, because this information has been putting fear in investors. Now, we all know that yes, it's not new that real estate investment is real. We all know the benefits on real estate investment. So that is not what this video is about. This video is going to alleviate the fears, if you had any, in investing. Because whether you like it or not, these same fears existed years ago. That is why most of our parents didn't invest. Why some took the bold risk. So what is this hula baloo about don't invest in Ekpe, or don't invest in untitled land in Ekpe? Now, I'm going to be correcting some of those information, or the news rather. Lagos state government will not say don't invest in untitled land in Ekpe. They won't specify a location, because untitled land anywhere in Lagos is untitled. Now, let's be reasonable. If Lagos state government creates a structure or a procedure to perfect your title, by perfecting your title I mean making the necessary steps or taking the necessary steps to get a title, to get your document registered. That's what we mean by perfecting your document. So which means even if you purchase a property that has C of O, you still need to perfect your document. And what is the next stage? If you purchase a property that has C of O, governor's consent. You need to register your deed of assignment. Now, let me get back to it. Lagos State government will not put a location to it, because untitled land anywhere is untitled land. So if there's any risk to untitled land, the same risk is everywhere. Now, I doubt it, and I'm bold to say this: Lagos State government will not say don't invest in untitled land. Rather, they will say do your due diligence and make sure you perfect your title. Now, what is the reason for this disinformation or misinformation? It's because before I move on, I talked about we have an estate when I was making a disclosure. I talked about we have an estate, we have a project we are currently developing in Ekpe corridor, currently at Igboye. Now, one of the disclosures that I missed out is that the estate is free. When I mean free, I mean free. Yes, that is the status of the estate, because it's a residential environment, so it's free. Now let's get back to what I was saying before. Lagos State government would rather tell you, do your due diligence before investing and perfect your document. Now, the reason for this disinformation or misinformation, whatever is in the publication, is because most companies or estates in Ekpe are in regularization areas. So that is why, inasmuch as there might be nothing wrong in the publication, it is those now interpreting it. That is why whatever publication you have seen, if you check it, if you study it very well, you will see that they mention something about regularization, ratification. Now, why is the warning about regularization and ratification? It's because they are usually what we call uncommitted government acquisition. Now, there are lands called, maybe some of these days, we'll also make a video on that. They are what you call committed. Those are the really danger zone. Don't ever go there. But of course, you will not know if the land is committed except you do your due diligence. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, why there are those you call uncommitted regularization or uncommitted government acquisition. Uncommitted government acquisition are areas like agriculture, forestry, Lekki acquisition. Now, those the status of the land in those areas require you to process a certain document called ratification. Now, this particular area now is actually very wide, so I may not be able to exhaust it. But what do I mean by that? Quickly, let's take for example government allocation. Most government allocations are areas that the Lagos State government, I'm using Lagos State government now as an example now, are areas that the Lagos State government have earmarked or set aside for a certain project, a certain development. Most likely, most times they are called schemes. You have residential schemes, you have industrial schemes. Residential schemes are areas where government has earmarked for residences, for residential purposes. Like you have, there's a scheme called Morimi scheme. That one's, I think that is around Aja or so. Not really Aja, like close to Shombutedo. You have labor scheme, that one is in Ibejuleki. You understand? So those are residential schemes. Now, the funny thing about these things, that's why due diligence is very important. And in due diligence, there are two professionals you cannot do without: the surveyor and a real estate lawyer. A lawyer, especially a real estate attorney. Now, we have a book. I wrote a book on buy rights. If you want a copy of it free of charge, for a limited period, you can contact the number on your screen with your WhatsApp number and email address, and I'll send it to you free of charge. Now, we need we discuss procedures where you can do your due diligence, involving the most two important professionals, surveyors and lawyers, especially surveyors. Now, let's get back to the schemes I'm talking about, residential schemes. Now, those schemes government have marked those areas for residential purposes. Now, except there is a present seal of O on it, if you check the status of that land, it's going to be telling you it's a committed land. Yes, it's going to be telling you it's a committed land. Some status are Lekki acquisition. It will be telling you it's committed. But do you know that those same committed land are the lands that are being converted to government allocation? So that is why in our title we talked about how it is even safer to invest in free untitled land. Remember, there are different kinds of untitled land. Those in agric areas are untitled. Those in forestry, untitled. Lekki acquisition, untitled. But there is a free untitled. It is safer, or to some extent, it is safer to invest in free land that is untitled. So when the publication is saying don't invest in untitled land, I can boldly object to that. Rather, what I felt they should have said is don't invest in uncommitted government acquisition untitled land. Those are the ones that fall under agric, forestry, Lekki acquisition, and all that. So agric is very common in Ekpe corridor. Forestry is very common in Ekpe corridor. Now, if you've invested in such area, is there a solution? Definitely. That is why it is uncommitted. Assume it was committed, it's a different thing. But uncommitted means ratification will give you, or regularization will give you your title. Now, in agric area, permits me that I'm mixing them, taking information from here. And it's just to quickly, I don't want this video to be too long, but I want to give you the nitty-gritty of the purpose for this video, which is as a result of that information. Now, in agric land, you have what we call agric CFO, and you have what we call agric regularization. When you do your agric regularization, you are converting that area to residential. But agric CFO, it's purely agric, and it has a lesser lifespan than the normal CFO. So, if you've invested in agric area, don't be scared. Just make sure that the necessary procedures are taking place, are done to ensure safety, to safeguard your real estate investment. So now, concerning that publication, the major problem is not investing in those agric areas, but the major problem is compliance. So probably that's the reason why they are warning companies and warning investors not to invest in those property. I would say they didn't do a good job by doing that. You are not supposed to put fear in investors. You can warn them, but not to put fear in investors. Probably the reason that is being done is because a majority of the companies are in agric area. Majority of the companies are in military zoned area. Majority of the companies are in forest area. Very few areas are free. Imagine, it's like telling somebody, one of the, those that own land in Ekpe, that have owned it for years, even before the decree of even before the Land Use Act, you are now telling them, the person now wants to sell, and you are telling the person, you are warning the person, oh, there's no CFO, because when they say untitled, what it majorly means is that does not have a CFO or government application. So imagine your grandfather that owns a property wants to sell, and they are being told, or investors interested in it are being told not to buy because it's untitled. No. Let's be realistic. The government has created a structure to perfect your title. They've created a structure for converting untitled land to a titled land. So if there is danger, or if you are not supposed to invest in untitled land, why would this Lagos State government create a structure to perfect your title? No land came from heaven with C of O. Somebody actually applied for the procedure. Somebody actually applied for C of O. So the major problem is compliance. That is the root cause. Compliance. So you find an estate or a company saying C of O in view, or they are going to be regularizing their agric area to make it residential, but they don't go ahead with it. That is where the problem is. And because of compliance issue, that is the reason why even a property on the C of O land can be demolished. Yes. Let me say that again and let it sink deep. A property on a C of O land, or let me say a C of O property, can be demolished. Why did I say that? The purpose of the demolition is what you will look at. The purpose behind the danger, or the root cause of the danger, is what you are going to look at. So give, for example, you have 30 plots in an area beside a canal, or you just have your normal 2 plots of land, and you didn't apply for approval, building plan approval. Even your architectural design has issues. Why? Because you wanted a cheap work done, and that building is in danger of collapse. Let's even leave the building is in danger of collapse, but you didn't apply for approval, building plan approval. If the Lagos State government want to demolish properties because there are no approval, that land has C of O is still going to come down, especially if warning has been given to the developer and they are not forthcoming. The property will be demolished, which means it was not demolished because the land was not genuine. Rather, it was demolished because they were not compliant with the regulatory authority or the regulatory laws that says apply for building plan approval before you erect any structure. So I hope you've gained something from today's video. If you need more, if you have concerns, if you have questions, please feel free, ask your questions. Let me see if I've missed anything out. Just because I don't want today's video to be too long. Okay, let's just end the video there. So, as I said, the issue is regulatory compliance. The issue is not the location, the issue is not the untitled land, especially when it's free. The issue is that will you go through the process that the government has placed for you to do, to have your necessary documents? Will the company do that? So ensure you do your due diligence and make sure you use the right professionals. Now, with what I've said today, consult your professional, consult your lawyer, consult your surveyor. Let them properly guide you. Don't just pick up any information and interpret. And one of the interpretations they even give for that memo is somewhere even saying, now don't pay any family people you bought the land from. Excuse me? No. So it's even, okay, let's give this example now. I was conducting a due diligence for a property that was advertised as government allocation. Now, most documents that fly about for government allocated property or government allocation estate or areas, what you see majorly is a demand notice from Lagos State government. And the demand notice stipulates at the second page, check it very well, if you see any document that is flying around that okay, this area has government allocation. If you see a demand notice, you see that they will list some amount that the company, the demand notice will be addressed to a company, and they will be giving the list of things that they should pay for. Check the second page. Beneath it, you will see that it will be specifically written that this is a demand notice and not approval of government allocation. But when some of these estate and companies want to tell you that this estate or this area is government allocation, has government allocation as a document or title, that is the letter or that is the document they will give you. So there's this due diligence I did for a startup company that wants to invest in this property. And when we asked them what is the title, lo and behold, it was government. They said government allocation. But when we did our due diligence, it was not government allocation. In that area, one of these companies along the express road, facing the express road. So that's why I said it's very dangerous investing in government allocation property, government allocation estate, if you have not done your due diligence. When we did our due diligence, we went as far as even checking Alpha Beta because they are supposed to make some payments to Lagos State government. And we discovered that out of a bill of 1.2 billion, they've only paid about think about less than 54 million or less than 45 million. Tell me, out of a bill of 1.2 billion, they've only paid less than 54 million. And one of their pride is that, oh, it's close to the government, this, that, blah, 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 blah. If something happens to the company tomorrow, do you think Lagos State government will go ahead to issue them that allocation if they are unable to pay? No, they rather give it to somebody else. They rather give it to another company that will pay. I think our next video, I'm going to be explaining more how this government allocation title, how they come about. So if you are investing in government allocation properties, please do your due diligence. Do your due diligence very well, because some families are taking some companies and Lagos State to government. And I hope you know that Lagos State don't always win when it comes to property transaction in court. So that is why for us at multi-care homes, we have realized that it's safer get your property from the indigenous people than perfect your document with government. That way, when the family is having issues with the government in that area, because you've paid and transacted validly with the family, and you've also perfected your document with the Lagos State government, you are secured on both ends. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Take care. Bye-bye.